let's get to some MMA. Goes down on Friday night. It is Invicta FC 5. Beck Hyatt is 4-2. Jasminka Cive is 5-0. This one in the strawweight division, 115 pounds. Now, I would like to preview the entire Invicta FC card. We just don't have the time tonight. Some great fights on the undercard. Rose Namajunas takes on Kaityln Catrone. Alexandra Chambers faces Jodie Esquibel. Veronica Rothenhausler faces Mollie Estes. Katia Kancampa faces Juliana Carnerio Lima. Miriam Nakamoto facing Jessamine Duke. Jessamine Duke is definitely a prospect at 135 worth keeping your eye on. And Cassie Rodish takes on Simona Sukupova. Now we get to the main card of Bellator. Keep doing that. Invicta FC 5. Beck Hyatt, 4-2, takes on Jasminka Cive. Strawweight, 115-pounders. Hyatt coming off a 5-round decision loss to 9-2 Carla Esparza. That was on January 5th. It was a strawweight title bout at Invicta 5. Hyatt comes out on the losing end. She's got 4 wins, 2 submissions, 1 knockout, 1 decision. She has suffered 1 loss by knockout to a 3-0 fighter named Rhiannon Thompson. That was in her MMA debut back in October of 2011, and that 1 decision loss was in her last fight. None of her wins for Hyatt have come against opponents with winning records, but the same could be said for Cive. None of her opponents have ever even scored a win in MMA. I mean, Hyatt has faced, has 1 win against an opponent with a 500 record. All of Cive's wins, all 5, have been against opponents with no wins on their record. In fact, her 5 opponents have a combined 0-8 professional record. She got a 3rd-round TKO win over 0-1 Ava Henesova in March of 2012 in Liechtenstein, and that was Cive's last fight. She's been fighting since 2010. She's from Austria and 31 years old, making her Invicta debut. Beck Hyatt, 24 years old, from Brisbane, Australia. She was on a 4-fight win streak prior to her Invicta debut. She's 0-1 in the promotion, has been fighting since 2011. A lot of bad blood between these two. Beck Hyatt is somebody that talks a lot. It seems like we see a lot of Beck Hyatt in the MMA media. A lot of hype behind her. She came up on the losing end of her last fight, but that was to a very tough Carla Esparza. She's been in there with the best in the world at 115 pounds, and she went 5 rounds with her. And Cive's never fought anyone who's ever won before. So Hyatt, the most challenging opponent she's ever faced. I think it will be too much of a challenge. I'm going to go with Beck Hyatt to hand Jasminka Cive her first ever loss, but I could see this going for Cive as well. Cive has 4 of 5 wins by knockout. Hyatt's been knocked out before. This is going to be a tough one. Will Hyatt catch her in her guard, or will Cive score a knockout? I'm going to go with the jiu-jitsu on this one. I'm going to go with Beck Hyatt. Let's go to a Canadian, Julia Budd. 4-2, takes on 1-1 Mollie Estes. Budd coming off a first-round TKO win over 4-5 Danielle West. That was in October at Invicta 3. While Estes coming off a 3rd-round TKO loss to 1-0 Randy Miller. That was in April of last year at Invicta 1. Estes is 1-1 as a pro, but had 5 submission wins and 2 2 knockout wins at amateur, scoring a 7-1 amateur record, 0-1 in Invicta. She's 37 years old, from Osceola, Minnesota. Her lone pro win comes over 1-2 Lacey Jackson in October 2011. That was by decision. Julia Budd has 3 knockout wins, 1 decision victory, 2 losses, 1 knockout to 7-3 Amanda Nunes in January 2011 for Strikeforce. And then in November 2011, she fought Ronda Rousey and lost by armbar. Budd has a win over very tough 3-2 Jermaine Durandamy in June 2011. This one in the featherweight division, 145-pounders. Budd on a 2-fight win streak, 2-0 in Invicta, has been fighting since 2010. She's 29 years old, from Port Moody, British Columbia. She went 2-2 in Strikeforce before that. So all 6 of her pro fights have been for major promotions. I'm going to go with the Canadian, Julia Budd to get the win. Kaityln Young, 7-7-1, takes on 5-0 Lauren Taylor. Young has lost 2 in a row, including a loss to Liz Carmouche via submission. Her last fight, a TKO second-round loss to 5-2 Leslie Smith. That was in October at Invicta 3. While Taylor coming off a first-round TKO win over 2-3 fighter Jennifer Scott. That was on March 1st of this year for Legacy Fighting in Houston, Texas. So Taylor not wasting any time to get right back into it. All 5 wins by knockout. Kaityln Young has 6 of 7 wins by knockout, 1 decision. She has lost 7 times, though, 3 by knockout, 3 by submission, 1 by decision. Kaityln Young, though, did pick up a very impressive win over Miesha Tate, knocking her out back in 2007. She also got a split decision win over Julie Kedzie in 2010. Young 0-2-1 in Invicta, looking for her first win in the promotion after 3 fights. She's been fighting since 2007 as a pro, 27 years old from Circle Pines, Minnesota. Taylor, 29 years old, making her Invicta debut. She's from Alaska. She's only been fighting since June 2010, and only one of her 5 opponents has had a winning record. But I like when a fighter is coming off a win, and she's knocking people out, and her opponent is coming off a knockout loss and has lost 2 in a row. I'm going to go with the fighter that's on a roll. I'm going to go with the fighter that's on a streak and is knocking people out. This one in the bantamweight division, the ever-important 135-pound division. Of course, the only women's division carried in the UFC, so a win for Taylor or Young could mean entry into the Ultimate Fighting Championship, so a very, very important fight there. And I'm going to go with the undefeated Lauren Taylor from Alaska to continue her streak. Let's go to Zoila Frausto, Gurgel, 12-2, taking on 6-2 Jennifer Maia. This one in the flyweight division, 125-pounders. Gurgel coming off a armbar submission, or a arm triangle, rather. It was a technical submission. She was choked out clean in the first round by 9-1 Jessica Ai in December at Bellator 83. While Maia coming off a decision win over 4-2 Jessica Andrade. That was in December as well in Brazil. Maia, 4 of 6 wins by submission, 1 knockout, 1 decision. Gurgel, 9 of 12 wins by decision, 2 submissions, 1 knockout. She has lost twice before, one in her last fight to Jessica Ai, another by submission to Miesha Tate in 2010 for Strikeforce. While Maia has lost just twice in her career, 1 submission to 15-5 Vanessa Porto in 2011, and 1 knockout to 10-4 Sheila Gaff in 2012. But Maia has won 2 of her last 3. She's been fighting since 2009. She's from Curitiba, Brazil, training out of the Shoot the Box camp. She's 24 years old, making her Invicta debut. Gurgel is the former Bellator 115-pound champion, now moving up to 125. She's 29 years old, has been fighting since 2009. 6-1 in Bellator, from California, but fights out of Cincinnati, Ohio, with her husband's team, George Gurgel. She's a Taekwondo black belt with wins over Jessica Penne, Jessica Aguilar, and Megumi Fuji. Gurgel, very, very tough. Maia, relatively unknown, a newcomer here. I think she might have what it takes to pull off an upset. Maia likes to submit people, and Gurgel has been susceptible to the submission in the past. I think this would definitely be an upset. Gurgel, big name in women's MMA, a former champion in Bellator, 12-2 compared to Maia, who's only 6-2. Gurgel has the experience advantage, but I'm going to go with the slightly younger, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist in Jennifer Maia. That has been the weakness of Gurgel, and I think Maia will be able to pick up the win. Hard to go against somebody named Maia from Brazil, right?